Hello everyone, welcome back to QuintEdge. If you're someone who is feeling overwhelmed by FRM interview preparations, don't worry, you are not alone. I am Anjul Agarwal and in today's video, we'll completely decode the FRM interview setup. What are the questions, what are the things that you need to prepare for, what are the tricky questions that can catch you off guard, how to handle them, and towards the end of video, we'll talk about how you should close the interview so that you can stand out as a candidate and excel at the interview and get the job you want. So basically watch the video till end to know all about FRM interviews and how to be the best candidate. But before diving right into the questions and the structure of the interview, let's talk about why FRM interviews are so important. Interviews are important for financial risk managers because they prove that you can actually apply the theories that you have learned and memorized to the practical life situations. You need to understand that financial risk management or financial risk manager is a kind of post that is going to constantly challenge you to use practical life scenarios and make active decisions. Interviews are like the checkpoints that test you if you can actually do that or not, if problem solving is your thing or not, if you can take decisions on behalf of the company or not. Imagine you are a doctor and you have memorized the whole step-to-step guide of performing a surgery, but in actual real life you do not know how to do it. You are no good in the emergency room. Similarly, risk managers are of no use if they do not know the practical application of the subject. In the interviews, the companies are going to test you for your real life application based problem solving abilities. That's what makes interviews important part of FRM system. Now let's talk about what you need to do. First thing is you need to research the company thoroughly. One of the biggest mistake candidates do is they do not research the company thoroughly. Trust me when I say this, when you mention the details about the company, the interviewers are impressed. You can mention the details like what are the financial performance, what are the industry trends, even about the competitors, and use all these things to picture the risk situation of the company. It shows that you have done your research and you're serious for this role. Also, you can mention things like base 3 and how it's going to impact the risk management practices of the company. You can mention the interest rate hikes and how it's going to impact the risk profile of the company. It's all about connecting what you know to what company is experiencing. Don't just say I know base 3. Say I know base 3 and this is how it is impacting your company's capital reserves. Details like that and a thorough research is going to impress your interviewers for sure.
सैलरी कितना लोगे भैया डिस्कस कर लें.
Next, let's talk about handling the technical questions. Here's where the things can get a little nerve-wracking. You will face technical questions about risk models, credit risks, market risk, and they can ask you about things like VAR, value at risk, and Monte Carlo simulations, and so much more. Now, believe me, you just do not want to give the textbook definitions for any of these. You need to use the actual real-life scenarios to show that you can apply whatever knowledge you have in the real-life scenarios. Let's take an example. For example, they ask you what is VR. Instead of saying it is a method to assess risk, you should say that value at risk is useful, but it comes with its limitation, especially when it comes to financial crisis scenarios where the assumptions may not hold true. In such scenarios, we can use conditional VAR instead of VAR to get a better picture of risk. A comprehensive answer like this shows that you just not have mugged up the knowledge. Instead, you know how to handle real life risk scenarios. Whenever there is going to be a risk crisis situation, you are going to be an agent for the company who can handle these situations and make decisions that are better for the company and can lead to growth and can lead to risk mitigations. Together with technical questions, you need to prepare for behavioral questions too. These are going to be like tell me about a time when type of questions where they are trying to understand your value system in risk management. To answer these kind of questions effectively, you need to use the STAR method. It stands for situation, task, action, and a result. Divide your whole situation into smaller parts, like what is the situation, accordingly what task are you taking up, what action have been taken, and what result did it lead to. In the question stated above, let's use the STAR method. The situation here is going to be, I noticed that our portfolio was overly exposed to high interest rates. Then the task is going to be, I was tasked with reducing this exposure of our portfolio. Then the action is going to be important part where you state that how you made the change. For example, I ran stress tests on different scenarios and came up with a hedging proposal. And finally, talk about the result, which reduced the risk by 15% in the volatile market situation. Following this structure, you have walked your interviewers through a proper step and storyline. They understood the situation, what was the task, what action you took, and finally what result it led to. In interviews, following this STAR method can help you keep calm and not ramble your answer or overload the interview with too much of information. You just divide your whole story into simple parts and walk your interviewer through it with ease. This would depict that you are a person with a clarity of mind, and clarity of mind is something which is basic requirement in the field of risk management. Next thing you need to understand is whatever answers you are framing, whatever person you are presenting yourself to be, you need to keep in mind the risk culture of the company. If we talk about what's a risk culture, every company has some risk appetite. Some companies just want to avoid all kind of risk. Some companies want to keep the risk moderate and facilitate growth. Some companies welcome risk with open hands because they want to grow exponentially. Now you need to understand whatever company you are going to work for, what kind of risk appetite do they have, what kind of risk culture do they have, and you have to frame your answers according to that only. For example, if we talk about tech startups, these are the companies that are solely based on innovation. So they are always open to riskier situations to amplify the impact of the product. But if you talk about banking sector or investment banking sector, these are the sectors and industries that want to take very calculated risks, because sticking to compliance is very important for this sector. So tailoring your answers according to the risk appetite and risk culture of a company will picture you as an ideal candidate and show the interviews and show the company that you are a perfect fit for the company. Next, we are going to talk about the soft skills. In any interview that you're presenting yourself, you need to understand it's not just about the knowledge, the technical aspects, the practical application. It is about people too. So the soft skills like being able to communicate effectively becomes crucial. You need to make an impression that you have a clarity of mind and you can break down complex information and explain it in layman terms. Let's take an example. You are a risk manager at a company and you are attending a board meeting in which you are explaining the risk scenarios. Now everybody of the board members are not going to be a financial background. You need to understand that. So whenever you are explaining a risk scenario, instead of diving deep into the mathematical calculations, you need to go like, according to the financial models we have prepared, there is a 5% chance of losing X amount due to market volatility. You need to break down the complex understanding that you have gone through, the financial analysis you have gone through, into layman terms, into simpler terms that is easy to understand, so effective decision making can happen. You need to understand in most scenarios you are going to be that person who is actively involved in decision making. So being decisive also is very important part of being a financial risk manager. Towards the end of interview, you want to stand out. So do not close the interview without asking something, because that shows that you are truly interested and engaged with the company and you respect the position that they are offering you. You could ask questions like, what are the biggest challenges company is facing in terms of risk now, or how do your company manages between risk and compliances. Questions like this can actually help you stand out from other candidates, showing that you are really interested in getting the idea of job. This also gives you an advantage because you already know how the company works and how do they handle their risk situations and what is their risk structure. All this can actually help you when you start your job or when you are preparing to start your job. So to wrap things up, I would like to emphasize on how confidence is very important in such interviews. And where do you get that confidence from? You need to prepare. People can be extroverted in nature or introverted in nature, but what matters is if you have the answers in your head, you are going to be confident gradually when you sit in the interview. It's okay to be nervous. You're sitting in front of a full panel who is coming at you with questions, but where would you get that confidence from to answer those questions effectively? If you have prepared yourself well, if you have gone through a lot of technical questions, behavioral questions that are asked in such interviews, you will know the answer, and with every right answer you give in such interviews, your confidence gets boosted. So preparation is the key to confidence. Just be yourself, understand the role, align your value system of risk management with the company's risk management, and gradually the interview will feel natural. So if you found this video informative, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, subscribe us for more such tips and tricks for interviews and for so much more. And if you found it informative, share it with your friends and comment down if you have some kind of tricky questions you want me to answer or some topics that you would like me to cover in future videos. See you soon in the next one. Have a good day. Keep learning.